All right.
My first stream.
Yeah, dude. We're live. Finally. After some hiccups. After some hiccups, we are live. We have a special guest today. It's Andree Wallin. Dude,
Hello.
how have you been?
Um, Good. Busy as ever. Um, but no, other than
Dave.
that, I'm just working on my own project at the moment, and when I can, doing some Star Wars, that little
Yeah, that little
weird
IP that
independent.
is sort of like not everyone knows about it just yet, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
People will probably know like when is the next one, 2017, right? That's when it's released. I think that's when people start to know, okay, yeah, Star Wars, that's a shit. But now it's just
Exactly.
like this non-existent IP.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird though. I mean, you do get so fucking spoiled when you're working on a franchise like Star Wars, because I'm for like 2.5 years. I was doing just only I was only doing Star Wars, other than doing State Zero, and you really do get spoiled working on a franchise like that because you're not um it's just it's blue sky development pretty much all the time,
Right.
but the blue sky as they call it. I don't know if that's a widespread term, but basically just doing weird shit all day long, just coming up with weird ideas. And for the longest time on Rogue One, I think we spent almost a year in that blue sky phase, just doing one weird, exploring one weird planet after another, or just
Right.
one weird environment after another. And it's so much fun, but you do get very spoiled in terms of, actually, being in production, actually having to, conform to the limitations of, you know, approved sets and designs and stuff.
Right.
So once you do go into production, it's uh, you're like this uh, ingrate, like this spoiled kid. It's like, oh fuck, I have to work on one set now. This sucks. I wanna paint weird desert planets and stuff.
Yeah.
But so that's like the one benefit that you get from working on lots of different shows is that you're more alert, and you're more easily, you adapt much more easily, I'd say, to different challenge, like different tasks and different assignments and different types of designs, and not to mention different production designers and directors. um, and I mean, Oblivion was kind of the same thing. I worked on that pretty much um, full time for 4 years,
Yeah,
which,
you've been on Oblivion for like the longest time. I remember,
yeah.
dude, I met you or had a first contact with you when I was still at Crytek. And I
Mhm.
believe you were working with what was that company? Free Radical? Radical? What was
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Radical Publish?
Radical publishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to get you to work on some Crisis, and you replied,
Oh,
"No,
that's right.
I
Yeah.
just picked up that that new project. We're gonna do like an IP comic book or whatever." I'm like, dude, well, I mean, you could do some video games, man. And in retrospective, you've made a right choice, dude. I'm gonna tell you that. But
That
I
that
remember
must
it
have been
was,
one of the first interactions that you and I had.
yeah, it was literally the first time we were talking to one another, and I remember you started working on it, and then granted, like it was like how many years later you were already killing it with the film. So that was kind of like, wow, dude, that worked out pretty
Yeah.
well. I'm pretty was pretty happy to see that, see how it went from just a novel. I'm actually curious. Were you even expecting that that's what's going to happen, or you're more like, oh, just another freelance job. We'll see how it goes, and eventually it will be something. Or you were already, it's like you already knew that this is going to be something big.
No, it was definitely a gamble.
Right.
It turned out to be a good investment, in terms of just progressing as a concept artist. Um, but it was, the main thing that got me interested in that job was Joe Kaczynski, and
Right.
and um,
Right.
because I just knew that I wanted to work in the film industry. That was my dream at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out that Joe Kosinski, this guy that I'd never heard of, he was directing this big feature for Disney,
Mm-hmm.
Tron Legacy,
Right.
and I was like, oh my God, this guy wants me to do like, and I got an email from this art director from Radical Publishing, and he was like, yeah, Joe likes your stuff, and he wants you to work on this graphic novel called Oblivion. I was like, oh fuck yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna be
so
on a
Joe was
Skype call with Joe Kaczynski, and
nice.
it was so cool, so cool. This Hollywood guy was my first interaction with Hollywood, pretty much.
So Joe was
And
involved in the project from the very beginning.
yeah,
Oh, okay, that's
yeah,
cool. That
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah, it was meant to be. It was just meant to be a graphic. Well, I suppose the plan was to, you know, the plan was all along to make it into a
Right.
to take that novel and turn it into a feature film pitch. Um, well, a hybrid graphic novel, I should say. They called it something. uh, They wanted to call it something different. It was supposed to be a little bit different because it just it's basically concept art
Mm-hmm.
in a very cinematic kind of coffee table um, book type of thing. And anyway, I jumped on that, and they would only pay me once the painting was approved, which was a very bad deal, in retrospect, because Joe would just never approve a painting. He didn't know, how my contract looked with Radical.
Right.
He just knew that he wanted every painting to be perfect, and so I just never got paid. I had to move back to my, mom's place and stay there
Damn,
for a year
dude.
to be able to afford it. But then and then I read, I think I read it on the Hollywood Reporter or something, that um, that Joe Kosinski had sold his had sold this idea, this pitch to Disney, and I was like, wait a minute,
God
I
damn
know
it.
that pitch. I think I know that pitch. Yeah, and so, but anyway, and then they just asked me if I wanted to work on the feature version, and I was like, yes. I was so sick and tired of well, maybe I shouldn't say, but I was just I was not happy where I was at
Yeah, I mean the deal was
with the other company.
just listening to it. It wasn't a good deal, of course.
No,
Working on something, yeah. There's so many moving parts. Just like, ah, shit. You don't
yeah, I
know,
know.
right? So
Oh, it's crazy, but I think actually on Oblivion, I think I had the most. I was the guy who was had the most days on that show,
mm-hmm.
like as an employee. I think I was, I think even more so than Joe himself. I think I had more days on Oblivion than Joe Kosinski himself, like on paper, uh, just because I was on it from the very first concept art
Yeah.
um, to the very last marketing piece. Like I even did these Blu-ray promotional pieces after the posters and stuff. So it was really a really fun and rare thing to get to do, like to be on it from the entire, throughout the entire production. So it was a very so grateful for that experience. Um, I don't know. Did you ever have a show like that? Because I've seen your. I mean, you're working on everything. Is it possible for you to stay on a show for longer than a couple of months? Because I mean, your CV at the moment is getting pretty ridiculous. In terms of how much you can fucking produce. It's insane. How long do
Yeah.
you usually spend on a show?
Oh, it all depends, dude. There are some shows that are very short for me. There are other ones that are very long ones. I think the longest, there was two shows that were the longest for me. One was Jupiter Ascending. That one was almost 2 years, if not more.
Really?
Yeah, we were on it. Me and Marek Alcon were on it from the very first concept art to the very last concept art. Um,
Did
too
did
bad.
did you work in Europe on site in Europe?
No, no. We were. I know Marek was working from home, and I was working from home as well. Matter of fact, when I moved back to Europe for about a year, it was that was my primary job during that time. I was working from home, and they were
Right.
asking if there's anyone interested to join the London crew. They were asking who can do it and all that. And I know Reed flew into London. He
Hmm.
was there for a while. I wasn't. I decided I'm gonna just work from home, and it's gonna be the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it was already working pretty well. I was working with John Gata at a time, and that was working with him was pretty fun, and we had like a good connection. Everything was working out, so we figured what, like, there was no reason to change that if it's working out already, and let's just keep it
Right.
going the way it is. And I prefer working from home, to be honest, than being in the studio. It's just like
Yeah.
my nature. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
the second longest one was Ghost in the Shell, I would say. I've been on this since the very beginning too, since I was actually pitching the project too. So before even
Really?
it was greenlit, I was there, like the
Oh
first,
wow.
very first guy. We'll see how the film goes. I'm actually curious. Um, but
Well, you
uh,
never know,
yeah,
right?
you never know.
Well, you kind of
uh,
have to separate yourself from the
oh
actual
yeah, of course.
from the
Yeah.
finished product, you know? I remember reading the like after Oblivion came out when the first reviews started, you know, popping up online and they were not in favor of the film. I was so fucking heartbroken because I was so invested, emotionally in that project. It was my first, Hollywood
Right.
film that I'd worked on, and I'd worked on it for so fucking long. I was always on, on standby for those guys. They could call me on a Saturday night, and I would be, oh yeah, 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 sure, whatever, I'll get it done, and which was fun, um, to be such an integral part of the team, but at the same time, you know, it gets that was a lesson that I needed to learn to just separate yourself from the actual film itself,
Yeah.
um, or rather people's opinions on it, because it can be quite um, devastating if you're too attached to it. This is a huge part of your life when you think about it. If you work on a project for even a few months, that's still a fairly that's a big part of your life. You go through different stages and you meet people and you know so it's I think it's important to make sure that you don't take that shit too seriously. The whole Rotten Tomatoes. Uh,
Rotten Tomatoes, dude. After they ranked Iron Man 3 to be like what, 80%, 90%. And the way it
yeah,
works, by the way, it's you have positives versus negative reviews, and they just look at the ratio, and that's basically
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
percentage. After I saw how many people positively reviewed that piece of shit movie, I was
yeah.
like, yo, fuck that shit.
I know.
Um,
For me, it was Furious 7, I think. Uh, it's which is still one of the funniest films I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I was laughing.
Iron Man
I
3,
mean, we were laughing our asses off. Uh, no, he's not meant to be. It's a certain parts of but it's
right?
the emotional parts of that film. Those are the funniest. When Vin Diesel tries to deliver a serious line, and I'm not gonna badmouth. Probably shouldn't badmouth that guy publicly, but yeah, it's just a hilarious film. I mean, it's the worst film of all time if you try to rate it as a action, as a proper action film.
Right.
But as a comedy, it's great. But I agree with you. It's like you have one of those films that just wait a minute, that got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's
So,
not only one. There's many of those. We just look at it
yeah, I
like,
know.
what in the fuck?
Yeah,
You're just
I
like,
know. It's
that's
so annoying.
nowhere near. That movie was
Yeah,
stupid. Like, how
I
on
know.
earth? Oh well. I mean, yeah, you said it pretty well. You have to disattach yourself and really, because the only thing you can control is art. It's really what you draw and what you're
Yeah,
responsible for. And there's nothing else you
exactly.
can really do. You're not a writer. You have nothing to say when it comes to writing. So if movie sucks, because of the writing, then well, it sucks because of the writing. But at least it looks good. I would say Oblivion wasn't the greatest movie either, but it looked fucking beautiful, and just for that, it's worth watching. Just see all the designs you guys did there. It was you, Tom Tenery, right? Daniel Simon,
Yeah,
right? All those guys.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was surrounded by so much talent on that. Well,
Fucking
you're always
beasts.
surrounded by so much talent on these shows. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's impossible to not feel like a fucking fraud every single day because it's like they turn out these, gorgeous paintings and these beautiful designs. And Daniel Simon, I think he spent like a year designing the bubble ship for Oblivion,
Right.
like full time, just working on one design. Uh,
But
and
holy
meanwhile,
fuck, it looks so
in,
good though.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, every square inch of that ship was so meticulously designed. It was incredible to see it in real life. I think they built three different versions of it for the shoot. And yeah, it's such a beautiful design. And what was cool about it was that Joe knew that he wanted that design pretty early on. So it's more about just, you know, y- they had the overall shape straight away, and then it was just the jaw was more like, perfecting that,
Hmm.
taking that as far as they could take it, and really just make it perfect. And it was really cool because there are certain franchises that we both work on that are just they're so ridiculous in terms of how many different versions they want of just about everything.
Right.
There's I've worked on a movie. I'm not gonna say which one, but there are, you know, I think there are 800 versions or something of one single ship design,
You
which
know what
is
that is though, right? Like it's just it's just a lack of vision really. It's just like let's try
for sure.
everything
Yeah,
and because we're not sure what we really want and we cannot commit to
yeah,
one thing, so we're gonna just, beat the dead horse forever.
exactly.
Yeah,
They're
there's one
spoiled.
thing.
That's not the problem.
Yeah,
They're
I
spoiled.
agree. I agree with you. And there was one thing I had a chance to work with Joe on Tron that frankly was canceled. But for the brief moment of time, I was there together with him and Darren Guilford.
Hmm.
I gotta say, he's one of those guys who's really visual, and it wasn't really hard to get like good designs working together with him because he had already sort of
Yeah,
like a vision towards which is going, and he would basically make sure that everything that you're working on is it's working towards that vision. It
yeah,
was very fortunate to have Darren there as well. Darren is one of the best production designers I've ever worked with, honestly.
yeah,
He used to be a concept artist, so he understands, how we work, but he's also a really great designer. Like he has a very good taste in design, and I mean, look at Tron Legacy. I mean, if it's a beautiful movie, and
yeah,
that's and or even Star Wars, right? Um, you work with Darren on Star Wars, so you can tell like how um, how good of a taste Darren has. And honestly,
yeah,
working with that crew, it was just such a blessing, just being there. And like I think we went through like a lot of work, a lot of sets without having too many iterations. Usually, with a good description and good conversation we had in the beginning, we would nail down a set design in a matter of one or two tries, and it was already there. Like, okay, this works perfectly. Let's work on details and make sure that all the
Mm.
intricate shapes work together nicely. So we would go in and get that going, but it would never be like, oh, I'm not sure. Let's fucking do 20 sketches and I'll maybe pick one part of it that I like. I hate
Yeah.
that, honestly.
Oh yeah. No, that's the great thing about Joe and Darren, especially when they're working together.
Yeah.
Two designers who both know and understand the process. They actually understand what the hell we're doing, as opposed to certain you know the production designers and
Mm.
directors who doesn't they don't really seem to understand what we're doing, and it's such a blessing when you get to work with guys like those two. And I'm really bummed out that Tron 3 did not
Yeah.
that didn't happen because I mean, first of all, when I visited you guys, you had a really cool setup. I thought it's just a really chill and atmosphere. I
Oh
just
yeah, dude.
I
It
don't know
was the
why.
best,
I just
best
liked it.
art department ever. I
Yeah,
gotta say.
yeah, it was really cool, and it was really uh, it just felt cozy. I
Yeah.
just wanted to stick around. Um, and I know Darren wanted me to work on it as well, um, and I was looking forward to doing some stuff for it. Just after seeing your stuff in particular, like you guys had done such um, a cool job with that world, from what I could see when I was there. It was just very, very inspiring to see, and yeah, I was really bummed out when they canceled that.
Yeah, it was a meh.
Um,
I actually
yeah.
got a I actually got a phone call from Paul Osimo. He was one of the concept illustrators there
Mm,
in the team, and it was when my baby was born. Like on
right.
the way back, I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, so we're shutting down. I'm like, fuck. I planned vacation anyways, but all
Right.
right. I guess I'll be looking for new work. um,
Yeah,
and
I know, man. On Oblivion, I was working. They switched studio. Um,
oh really? I
After
didn't know that.
like halfway through. Yeah, we had been in pre-production, I think, for about 6 months or something like that. It's a really long time. Over at when it was still owned by Disney, and then all of a sudden, like these creative changes were made to the script, and all of a sudden it didn't feel like Oblivion anymore, which kind of you know freaked me out a little bit. All of a
Right.
sudden, I'm not going to go into details, but it just felt very Disney.
Hmm.
Um, Suddenly, it just started feeling very, very Disney, and but I kept on working and turned in a couple of concepts on the Friday, late on the Friday, and then the next Monday, it was like, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. We're shut down, and good luck. You know, that's the best part about working on a movie is that just how quickly it can go from being no, this is my job. I'm going to work now. I'm gonna put in my hours, and then I'm gonna go home, and this is my life at the moment because you get into a routine after working on several
Right.
months for something, and you adapt to that, and okay, so this is my job now, and then in a matter of not even hours, minutes, it can be go home. We don't exist anymore. Someone
Yeah,
has just plugged.
that's the interesting part compared to like say video games, right? Where in video
Yeah.
games, when things go wrong, you can kind of see the writing on the wall.
Hmm.
You get that sense that studio might be in trouble, and you might have to look for something else. There's always something going on in the background. There's always some
Sure.
noise that you hear about, and you sort of like, even though you're like not believing your eyes, like, oh man, like why it's shutting down, you're still sort of like, yeah, I mean, I could have seen it coming. In film,
Mm.
it's just like you never know. It can be a producer coming in to the office and you're like all
Yeah.
fucking chilling and doing work, and all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we're wrapping up, bye.
Yeah.
And just like, what
Yeah,
happened?
it's always so casual as well. You know,
Yeah, it was pretty
there's
much
no one
what happened with
apologizing.
Tron. So just one day,
Yeah.
producer came in and, yeah, we're done. Bye.
Right.
Pack your shit and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that's why you have to, when you work in film, you have to hustle.
Yeah,
You just have to be
definitely.
on top of everything, because any day you can just be without work. So, and you're not
Yeah, you
getting
just have to
paid
be
for the
comfortable
time
with
you're
that
not
thought.
working, obviously. So
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, as long as okay with that, having that mindset, and you're prepared for it, it's actually it's not that bad, really. When you think, we're making it sound really terrible right now, but it's not. If you do like you said, if you do your job right, and you've got connections in the industry, and you've put your work out there, and you've done you have done your job right, then you're gonna be moving on to
yeah,
another project or a new show. It's not the end of the world, but it's just, especially when you're working in house, it's you have colleagues and friends that you've become accustomed to and that you enjoy working with, and you have your routines and this whole thing going on, and then again it just ends there, right then and there.
yeah,
uh, you know uh, just overnight it's all gone, which is another reason why I don't particularly enjoy working in house or on site. Just you know I I do get bummed out when I have to go back home. you know I've got my friends there. I'm
yeah,
whatever routine I'm in, I'm quite happy with it at that point, or at least that's my life at that point. If you've worked on something for 6 months or a year, then it's a bit sad, to go back home and then you have to, you know, go back to square one in a sense, and all your friends that you hung out with at home, you know, it takes some time to just get back into the groove and into the daily routine of that life,
yeah,
So I definitely, I'm with you. I prefer to just work from home and have have my life, um, have some sort of permanent um, base of operations.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Hey, so when you worked on Oblivion, did you get to be on the set as well? Like, did you get to see the sets being built or anything like that? Or
yeah, yeah,
you
we
were in
worked.
US then, right? Like you were here on site.
Yeah, exactly. I spent a few months in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, of all places.
Oh boy.
You know, that was quite the experience. Um, my hotel that I stayed in was located in between two highways, like two freeways, I think. So you couldn't go anywhere. I didn't have a car. I basically had a parking lot that I could walk around, my free time, and a Walmart, which was very stimulating. And
Of
but
course,
but
it's all you
yeah,
need. All you need to
yeah,
be
exactly.
creative.
But the cool thing about it was that the studio that we worked at, I can't remember the name of it now. I think it was never mind. The studio in Baton Rouge, we had our art department just on the lot. So we had all the sets just around the corner from our offices. So at lunch you would just walk around looking at the sets,
Nice.
and they were beautiful sets. I mean, after working on Star, I thought Star Wars was gonna have I thought, I working on Star Wars, you think that the sets are going to be, spectacular. That they're going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before. But actually, it was in retrospect, it was the other way around for me. Like working on Oblivion, which is a much smaller film than Star Wars, those sets were just fucking massive in comparison to Star Wars. The whole um, the New York Public Library reading room, that big set piece where Jack goes down into the
Mm-hmm.
through that hole in the ceiling. They built that, and that was like it was like 5 stories high, that set, and like they were just so meticulous about the detail that went into creating like every little object in that set was just handcrafted and it's just beautifully handcrafted, and they filled it with books, and like they had so many, like hundreds of thousands of books, just you know littered with books, and it was just a really beautiful, cool set. Probably one of the biggest sets I've ever seen, and they spent, I think 5 months, 6 months or something building that thing, and that was so much fun to see. Because that was like a when I did that concept, not that I designed that room, but just the layout of it with the hole in the ceiling like that. That was just like a 3 hour, 4 hour concept. That was more
Right.
like a sketch that I did and handed in, and which and that was all they needed. They just needed a hole
Yeah.
in the reading room ceiling, and and then just walking in there, 5 months later and seeing that thing being built, I was just such a cool experience, especially being the first film that you work on, because you get kind of spoiled after a while. Once you've seen a few sets, it's not that special
Yeah.
after a certain point, but you want that first set to be special.
Did you get to see the filming too, or just when they were building sets?
No, I never saw the film. I think um, I flew back home like before they started shooting, the day before Tom Cruise got there, because of course Joe was talking. He was just talking about Tom, and oh, he wants to meet you, and he wants to look at your art. I'm gonna make sure that you get to hang out with Tom when he gets here. And I was like, fucking hell, that yeah. I was looking forward to it so much. And then they flew me back home the
Yeah,
day
just like
before Tom
you're
got there.
done. Fuck off.
Yeah, you motherfucker. But
But Tom Cruise.
yeah. Well,
um,
I don't care what people say about Tom Cruise.
no, he's a good
I
actor, dude.
really enjoy the guy. I really enjoy the guy. He's a great actor, and he's a great person to just
He's a little freak on
to
that
work with.
Scientology stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
who
that's
cares?
yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
I just wanna
You
I
have
wanna
brain,
work
you
with the
don't
guy.
have to believe in that shit. You're not forced to do that, so who fucking cares?
Yeah, exactly. But I thought the Scientology trucks was gonna be lined up outside the the offices, and it was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty, and everyone who's worked with him is, always says, they've always got nice things to say about him. So anyway, but no, I didn't get to see this shooting. I did get to see one of the sets in uh, during shooting on Star Wars. One of the sets that I worked on, which was pretty fun and crazy to see, and it's unbelievable how they make that work.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are running around on a set. It's insane. Like how they structure that and how they keep it organized. It's really something else. Um,
It makes you appreciate the craft of, filmmaking a little more than what you
yeah,
see outside
totally.
of it. I think a lot of people just don't realize how complicated the whole process is when you're on set and you see, the actors and the doubles, the stunt doubles, and you see all the crew, the grip, the camera, production design, like everything on the set, everything that is going on, the amount of people, the amount of money that is basically being burned every fucking minute, and
Yeah.
how to the point everything has to be done. You get to
Yeah.
appreciate the whole craft way more. Even when you look at the shitty film, it's like
Yeah.
clearly it's a shitty film with a fucking shitty script, and it's just like a schlock, right? But
Yeah.
just knowing how much is done behind the scenes, it makes you appreciate a little more, at least for the amount of coordination that it requires to actually shoot it, especially if it's like an action film with like big sets and whatnot, even if it's like the
Yeah.
most stupid story ever, that there's thousands of people behind this. And it's just like until you actually see it happen, it's just
Yeah.
like it gives you no connection. It's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
fucking this scene is shit. Like the acting was shit, and this is shit. And it's just like, yeah, but it, it's like try to pull it off yourself. Like I'm thinking it that way. Like
Yeah.
it's easy to criticize, and rightfully so. If something sucks, it sucks.
Mm.
But when you're behind the camera and you're directing it, there's so many fucking things that can go wrong, and there's
Oh
so
yeah.
many moving parts that it's like it's almost impossible to take control over everything. You're just sitting there, you're just making sure that it doesn't fall apart at that point.
Yeah.
And the best directors are those who are, you usually hear the stories about the best directors are usually the biggest assholes or
Mm.
the most mentally insane. They're pretty much driving everyone into the ground in order to
Yeah.
just to make the film happen. You just have to have that, that drive, energy, and power, and just be, yeah, I think mentally insane to pull off, The Shining
Yeah.
or Apocalypse Now. You just cannot do it with the regular approach, like what we do in illustration. Oh, I'm just gonna paint it and eventually have it done. No, that doesn't work that way.
Right.
You have to fucking scream your way in and the way out, and just hope that you're not gonna lose your mind in the whole process. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you get a whole new respect for directors, and pretty much everyone running the show once, especially once you try to do it yourself, like when I did the short film.
yeah, let's talk about that. I wanna hear a little more about the State Zero, dude.
Yeah. It um I mean, I don't know if I should go into the whole backstory of it. It was just one of those ideas that kept coming to me as I was working on Star Wars, and
Mm-hmm.
and um and I just couldn't stop thinking about it because I've always been obsessed with these type of guilty pleasure, the guilty pleasures of mine, like I'm Legend and Avatar and these type of movies
Mm-hmm.
that have pretty simple premises, but that are still really immersive and engaging and suspenseful and visually, of course, visually appealing. So I was trying to think of this. I just kept thinking of this thing that I could do, not only as a story, but also pull off with a very limited budget. And it was just a fun challenge because um, when you're working on a major franchise like that, you are just a concept artist. You
Yeah.
don't get to be involved in any other aspect of the film, which you might be on a smaller production, like on a smaller movie. Um, and so I was just really sold on the whole notion of doing something like that, just throwing myself into something that should be impossible to do on a limited budget. And so um, I wrote that script during the fall of 2014, and people might laugh when you say that you spent a lot of time writing a script. That's basic when you look at the what's actually happening in the film.
Right.
But there's so much fucking work man, to do a script that not only um, is, compelling to the actors and everyone who's going to work on it, but also, budget wise, is this going to work on the budget that I'll have? Is this
Yeah.
going to, can I pull this off? Can we find these locations? Can this premise or this concept, can that be, extended into perhaps a feature film or something else? Can I use this and use it for a pitch? It was supposed to be a proof of concept as well, but and at the same time, it's also supposed to be a directing show reel. This is my directorial debut.
Yeah.
So am I gonna be able to pull this off? It's like there's a lot of these variables that goes into the whole equation of, what do I write? I don't want to write anything that relies too heavily on the story, but it has to have some story, and so I was really struggling with writing that script, for a few weeks, or a few months, and then I found some people that wanted to help me out and work with me, like my producer, who also worked on she also worked on Star Wars, and she was an assistant art director on the show, and she helped me out finding, she helped me out with so much on that, finding locations and actors and
Yeah, it's nice to have
building
an art
props and
director
stuff.
involved there.
Yeah, totally. And so yeah, and then we shot it in August of uh, 2014, and that was just such an insane shoot, because you're not only the director, but you're also, a PA in a sense. You're doing everyone's job. You
Yeah.
have to actually, bring the food there. You're catering. You're making sure that everyone gets to the hotel at night. You have to move the actual camera up and down the stairs, and you have to do all these things while at the
Yeah,
same
you
time
don't have a
trying to.
grep and people that will do it for you and catering and drivers and taxi and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you're paying for it out of your own pocket.
Yeah.
I didn't do a crowdfunding thing for it, so I was paying for the fucking thing myself, which is scary enough in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
When you see those big trucks up that first day, and like, oh my God, this looks very expensive. I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my life. Um, and But yeah, somehow we managed to pull it off. It was a really stressful shoot. We had to cut a lot of things. Um, Even though it's quite long as it is, we still had to cut a lot of scenes that I really wanted to get, just in order to get something that would be, you know, coherent and work throughout
Right.
the entire narrative. And then we spent maybe 8 or 9 months in post, something like that. And so that was done by a Swedish studio called Black Studios
Mm-hmm.
in Stockholm, and they helped me out. But they're old buddies of mine, and who all worked at the same studio. And so um, I I got a deal with the studio, and they are now um, developing the project with me. So we're now, co-owning the IP. So that's the deal that I got with them.
Yeah.
And then they helped me out with the VFX, and it was just a really cool experience to get to take something from inception to like a final, like a finished product like that. That was very rewarding, and very, very useful. Working as a concept, if you're going back to concept art, then you have a much better understanding, if you didn't already, of how this painting is going to translate to an actual set,
Yeah.
and an actual build. And it's you kind of tackle your assignments and your paintings in a whole different way once you've had to um, be there yourself and see what it actually takes, and how the extension is going to work, and where is the matte line, and all these things is very useful. And so yeah, and right now, I don't know if I mentioned this while we were live, but we are developing it as a pitch. I'm not going to go into what sort of format, but it is a fairly extensive pitch that I've been working on now for over a year, together with um, the studio, together with Black, and
That's
we have a
awesome, dude.
very cool pitch for it. And yeah, thanks. It's fun. You kind of need it. Well, at least I do. I need something to sort of balance all the client work and all the headaches that comes with
Oh yeah, for sure.
uh, slaving away for the studios.
I mean, it's a big project, dude. I mean, everything you've mentioned, and it sounds pretty easy, from the script. Like, oh, it takes you so long, but it's just like one thing that I've noticed. I've been writing. I think I don't know how many versions of script for Showtime, and every time I
Mm.
read it after a week, it's like, damn, this is so stupid. This is so
Right.
fucking stupid.
Yeah, I
Rewrite.
know the feeling.
Because you're like you're really into it, and you think like you are the boss of writing. You're the screenwriter, and you're assuming your
Yeah.
ideas are great, and then you read it loud like after a week,
Mhm.
after it settles in. It's just like, oh my god, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I know, man.
You get like 20 questions, like just one question, why is this happening? And that just basically breaks the whole story into like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
And I agree. It's just like, especially when you want to film it. Like, let's say you want to have like an action scene, right? Like a chase, two cars chasing one another. How the fuck you gonna do that? And what kind of budget are you gonna do? Are you gonna, do it in the city? If so, are you gonna
Right.
buy a license to close streets that gonna cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars to even make that happen? And then
Right.
hire actual professional, stunt drivers. And for safety reasons, actually, those cars cannot have engines, so they have to be pulled. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just one idea that you think is, oh, this is gonna look fucking dope in camera. That already is like $500,000, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. I know.
And when you're just
Yeah,
doing
I know,
concept
man.
like, oh yeah, fucking explosions and shit, fucking
Yeah.
concept wires, yeah. It's just so easy to get carried away, and like when it comes to actually, production aspects, it's just like, oh my god, what am I going into?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and especially like when you're doing your own project, like you said, if you're doing this, you have this really cool idea, like a visual idea for this particular set piece, and it's or action piece, and it's gonna be fucking amazing, and you do this really cool composition, and then it dawns on you that it's not possible unless you have $200 million, and so you have to go back and sort of think as a producer,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
really quite difficult to approach your art with that sort of practical mindset, uh, because I've been doing tons and tons of art for the state pitch, and with every painting, um, there's I
There's like
have
a
to carefully
ka-ching,
plan.
ka-ching,
Yeah,
ka-ching.
exactly. Yeah, like I'm a fucking producer as well. Like this doesn't work. So I have this internal like conflict where I'm constantly just battling myself. Like, but it has to be possible. It looks so cool, I want to do this, but
Yeah,
but you can't. This is you don't have $200 million, and so that yeah, it's really difficult, but it's also it makes you appreciate again. It just makes you appreciate what these some of these directors can pull off,
yeah,
and some of these studios are able to pull off um, when you're trying to do it yourself. And I'm so inspired by movies like District 9. and to some extent the Maze Runner and these like really uh, the films with a high end sort of expensive Hollywood quality to it,
Mm-hmm.
but still done on a fairly small budget. And I just love the having those type of constraints, and it just forces you to be more creative.
Yeah.
And it's really inspiring when you're trying to do your own thing. But I think you can apply that mindset even to when you're doing your concept art as well. I think just working within certain limitations is always good. I really don't like it when you have carte blanche to do whatever you want. That's when I'm at my least creative. That's when I just go, oh, I have no idea what to do. Like this, someone just goes, oh, just make something fucking epic, make something really cool. I love it when
I
they
love
go,
those projects though.
oh, you do?
Yeah. When it's just
Well,
like do whatever do whatever the fuck you want. I'm like, yes. I gotta do whatever
well,
the fuck I want.
well, sometimes. I'm not gonna say it's always
No,
bad,
but
but
I know
but
what you mean.
I usually, I like it when a production designer sends me a photo of this really fucking boring location and just goes, okay, we have to make this location work. We have to turn this ugly little alley into an sort of I don't know, a Blade Runner esque environment. Make it happen. Make it so, and then you have to figure out how the fuck you're gonna do it. And lately I've been getting those assignments, and they've always and usually these days they also come with a sort of producer-esque type of um, ending as well. It's like you have to do it. Just imagine having a really small budget. Just imagine that we don't have any money to do this,
Yeah.
to design this particular set, or to dress this particular location. Go, you know. And I actually quite enjoy those challenges. I think they're fun. I think it's fun when you're given lots of constraints like that or limitations.
Well, it's
Um,
good when you have
not,
like good producers and really smart production designer and art director,
yeah,
you know. One thing I just gonna
like,
say,
sure.
just so that our audience knows, there's a difference between, well, most of the people understand art director to be, like in video games, like I'm responsible
Right.
for art. In film, it's a little different. Production designer is basically the guy who will, work together with director to and be responsible for the look of the film. Then you're gonna have costume designers who's gonna be responsible for costumes, and you're gonna have a property manager who's gonna be responsible for the look of all the props. Um, and then the art directors are the people that are actually building stuff. They're building sets. They're making things happen. They're looking at the budgets. They're making sure that all the materials get in. They're making sure that they can order the right materials and make sure that they can actually build it. So they're sort of like this bridge between everything, like bridge between art, production design, director, the props department, the builders and producers, and they have to work with freaking everything. And I just like
Yeah.
it's the hardest job, honestly, in the market. When I see what art directors do in film, I'm impressed and kind of bummed because
Yeah.
I wish they were making more money for what they do. And frankly, illustrators make more money than art directors. So just to give you a
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. I don't know how it is in the U.S., but I know that in the U.K., from the shows that I've worked on, I think the art directors get a little more, or if not more than the same amount um, of like their rates are fairly similar to the concept artists.
Right. But the
Depend.
responsibilities are way
Oh
more,
yeah, yeah.
way
Oh
different.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
quite a misleading title when you think about it,
yeah.
because they're not directing any art. I don't know where how that, how they got that title for that um, position. it's a little weird to me, but I mean, doesn't really matter. But
Yeah.
it's misleading,
Yeah, for
like you
sure.
said. Um, but it's really the production designer that is the art director. If
Yeah.
you want to be like, if you want to look at how people view their, who people assume to be the art director
Right.
on a movie production.
I think it just comes to the fact of, what directing means in film. It's more of
Yeah,
like really organizing stuff and making sure that everything works rather than, looking
sure.
through the whole vision of what it is. You have director of photography, which is basically a person that, is responsible for cinematography of the film, like what happens behind the
Yeah,
camera. And he usually is a person that is like a bridge between the cameraman and the director itself. There are some
yeah,
directors that are going to be sitting behind the camera because, like, fuck it, it's my film, go fuck yourself.
yeah,
But in most cases, it's actually, a director of photography who is, behind the camera. So,
yeah. Yeah,
um,
exactly.
cool. What do you think about jumping into some questions now? I'm pretty sure we have some
Sh-
coming from the
Sure.
audience.
You guys
Yeah,
ready
I
for
feel
that?
like I'm hogging the screen time here. If you want to go ahead, and because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
just
That's
keep
a lot of good
going. It's all
insight.
good. It's good art on the screen. That's all we need to see. Doesn't matter.
All
You
Exactly.
can
right.
just nibble around. I don't care.
Right.
The first
As
question for
long
you,
as it looks good.
Andres, says, which software do you use to create these beautiful masterpieces?
Well, lo and behold, I'm using Photoshop CS3. I am not one of these fancy um, Photoshop
Don't you like
CC,
autosave,
whatever
dude?
the fuck it's called. What?
Don't you like the autosave?
Nah,
Eh,
not really. Okay, here's the thing. My Photoshop never crashes, you know,
I
knock on
know.
wood. But I think I can count on one hand the amount of times that CS3 has crashed over the last 8 years, which is probably why I'm so comfortable with it. Because
Right.
I upgraded to CS4 and then it kept on crashing, and I'm like, fuck this. I went back to CS3 and then CS5 came out. Tried that. It was too different. I was like, ah, fuck this. I don't want to be bothered. And
Hey,
yeah,
as long
I'm
as it's
just
working.
yeah, I guess.
Why changing it if it's working and it's bulletproof?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't use any 3D like programs?
No, I don't, and it's my probably my biggest challenge these days because
Mm.
everything is just based around 3D these days, and I'm usually handed 3D elements on whatever show I'm working on, and someone goes, paint this up or paint on top of this or use this,
Mm.
ship design because I'm not usually designing stuff. I'm the keyframe guy.
Mhm.
I just do compositions and um, some set designs and mostly just figuring out light, and and so I've never really had to learn it. And I know I should learn it, but I'm just so fucking lazy. And especially when you're doing your own project, like you don't have any, you're so inspired to just be creative with the story and every other aspect of your project that you don't have time to sit down and be very technical about things.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so comfortable because I started doing my own project back in 2013, um, when I did this thing that I'm have here on my monitor, which was a project that I did and sold to a studio, and that's when I got the bug, and I was like, oh fuck, I just want to do these concepts as quickly as I can, and then write a story or come up with a story, and then just focus on that, and then everything else kind of had to take a step back because it was either that or just go into 3D and that whole thing and really upping my game as an artist. But I think I got stuck on a certain level, and then my comfort zone, if you will, and then I just kept on going.
Cool.
I never decided, I never took up 3D, which I know some basics, but anyway, sorry, I'm rambling.
Very good. This next question says, I have such a hard time telling the difference between concept art and illustration. I understand one is design, but I think concept art looks prettier. IMO.
Wanna take?
The
Nope.
awkward silence.
Nope.
I don't know. Was that directed at me?
Either of you guys can answer. Yes. The difference between concept art and illustration, I guess.
You'll do a better job at explaining that, Mijay.
All right, fair enough. So the biggest difference is the purpose of what's done when. Illustration is supposed to look good. That's the only purpose of what it is. It's supposed to illustrate, whether it's a situation, action keyframe or a keyframe, whatever the fuck it is, book cover, anything you can imagine. It's just supposed to look great, look beautiful, and and that's pretty much it. You don't really need to think about illustration outside more than that. What this description is. Concept art has a different is meant to do something. It's meant to be something different than illustration. The truth is, concept art can also be illustration when it's really well rendered, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. What matters in concept art is the function of what it's doing. It's supposed to help everyone else who's going to be working off it to understand what the fuck they're supposed to do. So in film, for instance, when you're doing concepts, you're supposed to solve problems for the people that are going to actually build it. So you have to, let's say if you were designing a vehicle, you're supposed to design it within constraints of what kind of vehicle they're going to use, and also build shapes and build, on top of it, solve problems of how it's going to function, how it's going to work with actors jumping in and out. If it's a sci-fi vehicle, for instance, how the doors are opening, and working together with the team in order to make this work, and make sure that it's not just only nice looking car or nice looking sci-fi vehicle. It also has function, and it can actually be built, and how much of it will be practical versus how much of it would have to be done in VFX, right? So there's two major differences going on here. And the truth is, concept art doesn't have to look beautiful. It can look like shit as long as it's serving its purpose, which is, basically showing the function of what you're trying to illustrate there. So illustration is just it's just supposed to look nice. That's the primary function of it. So
Awesome.
Very good. I feel like I'm learning a lot of stuff.
Next one says, can I combine design elements in my illustration? Sure.
Wait, can you repeat that?
Can I combine design elements in my illustration?
Yeah, why not?
Go for it.
Go for it.
Do it. Next one says, what inspired you to make the decision to try directing after only doing concept work, or how was that learning process like? I love the work you did on State Zero, as I am from Stockholm myself.
Well, thank you. I don't know. It's I just feel like certain jobs are a little bit discouraging when you're an artist, because for various reasons. But I was on a show, I'm not going to mention which one, that was just discouraging me to be at my most creative. It was just a lot of micromanaging, and there was not, the communication from the higher ups was not good. It was not informative. There was a lot of indecisiveness, and it was just, it was just discouraging. So, and I felt like Just I was just so inspired to do something where I could be a part of the whole, where I could be a part of the creative direction that the project was going to have. And I kind of felt that to a certain extent on Oblivion, where sometimes I would do a piece and Joe would be like, oh, I think we're gonna, set up the scene a little bit differently now because this is, for whatever reason, this piece that you did, um, it works better if we're establishing it, um, in a different way, or whatever. Like it was just, it felt like I had a natural rapport with Joe, and we could talk to each other, and it was just you felt like a part of the team. Whereas other shows, you're just a concept artist, and that was just really discouraging to me. And I wanted to do something on my own, and I like a challenge. I like, you know, jumping into something where I have no fucking idea what I'm doing and just figure it out as I go along. And making a short film, like a really visually ambitious short film, is the perfect avenue for that for me personally. And yeah, I can't really tell or explain where the desire to direct came from, because like a year prior to that, I was actually thinking to myself, thank God I'm not this ambitious type of person that wants to direct, because oh my God, that would suck, be the director, be in charge of just about everything and everyone, and so much stress, so much pressure. But you know things change, and yeah, I don't know if I can explain it much more thorough than that.
Yeah, that's
That's
perfect.
good.
This next one is what in, what inspired you to make the decision? That was already one. Wait, no. Yeah, it was answered. How do you balance personal projects after you come back home and have to do work for clients or the industry?
Michelle, do you want
Um,
to take that one?
how do I balance my
It certainly
work?
applies to you.
You don't sleep. That's the easiest answer. No, you have to be, you have to be understanding how much time you really have. And one thing that is really important when you're trying to balance anything in your work life and whatever is assuming the worst. If you're, let's say you're getting an offer to work on a project A, right? It's like, oh shit, that's fucking awesome, right? I can do New Avengers, whatever. And then you get another offer, and it says like it's like New Avatar or whatever, right? Let's say it's that. And like, oh shit, I cannot pass on that. Fucking awesome, right? And then you have your own personal project that you always want to work on. So now you have three things that you're basically doing. Now, what happens if you get really tired of working for Avatar and for the other project as well? Because you will. I mean, it's granted that after weeks or months of working on it, you're gonna be so fucking tired of it and so fed up that you're not gonna be excited about working on it anymore. Like you said, Andree, you worked on the film and then eventually became a job, and that's the moment where the inspiration is kind of fading away. What are you gonna do then? You have to be prepared that you're gonna have to.
Wore off.
Yeah, you have to be prepared that you're gonna have to work on the same pace and the same commitment as you did in the very beginning, because otherwise, people that are working with you are not stupid. They'll see like, dude, you're slacking. Just pick it up. Don't be a fucking asshole because you're gonna get fired. And those moments are critical, because if you drop the ball during those moments, you're pretty much granted that you're never gonna work with that person anymore, with that director or production designer. If you're in the games industry, it's very similar, right? If you burn the bridges and you just be an asshole, like nobody will want to work with you anymore. So you have to be realistic on knowing that you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get fed up, and what then? Can you keep maintaining? If you can, then you know, okay, I can take this amount of projects and I have to schedule my calendar in a way, okay, from this time to this time, I'm working on this. Between those hours, I'm working on that. Give yourself some wiggle room where you're not doing anything because it's granted that things will go wrong and you will be overshooting your time that you've had perfectly planned. Um, and you just have to plan it that way. You just have to look how much time you have during the day and how much time you're willing to spend, and be sure that even though you're not motivated to do something, because you will be at those hard moments, you have to power through. You have to be resilient. And you know that knowledge comes over time. Like you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, pick up too many projects, and you just have to power through. You just have to force yourself, build that resilience to be, you know, always on top of your game. Like never drop the ball. So I guess that's the hardest part, understanding, you know, how much you're capable of, and then pushing when you're in the really lowest moment. That will help you to determine like how much you can take, you know. It always comes with sacrifices. So if you really want to make a lot of money, then you can pick out a lot of projects if you have an opportunity to work on many. However, if you like, you know, if you enjoy having social life and family and whatnot, then maybe if even something is really tempting, maybe it's a better idea to say no, um, and just focus on one thing, and be really focused and make that thing to be beautiful and the best in the world, you know?
Yeah. I
Awesome.
would say that it comes quite naturally
Yeah.
to you if you're that type of person. If you really want to work a lot, if you really love what you do, you're just gonna end up working a lot. It's really quite simple when you think about it. Because if you have to force yourself to work that much, you're gonna get burnt out and you're not gonna enjoy it. And so, if you love something enough or that much, you're just gonna have to. You're gonna naturally figure out a way to cope with it.
Yep.
That's my belief anyway. Um, although you put it a little more eloquently.
Nah, dude, all good, all good.
Epic. Cool. This next one says it's for Andre. What's your mindset behind images like the one we're seeing? Uh, let's like let's make something work badass like that. How do you design?
I don't know which one he's referring to, but
I think it
um,
was the first one you were
It's
working
the
on.
the
'Cause-
badass one.
yeah.
It must be the one
the
The
that
badass
that
one.
looked
Oh,
the
that one.
badass.
Oh, I think I closed that one.
Nah, I know it's fucking ignorant, and the person who asked that question, like, oh, those motherfuckers, you're making fun of me? Fuck this channel.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I'm not being
Badass.
disrespectful. Um, what's my mindset? Um, I don't know. What is my mindset? I think when it comes to sci-fi stuff like this, I just want it to feel grounded in some sort of reality. I have a big problem with sci-fi stuff that is just so out there that you can't even you can't even tell what's going on. They're just crazy shapes and crazy effects, and it's everything's glowing, everything is foggy and misty, which that's I'm throwing a rock in a glass house right now. Most of my stuff is very atmospheric and very misty and foggy, but um, I try to I try to make it look like it's um, part of some kind of reality. And on a piece like this, I mean, I guess it's the clouds. Making sure I use a plate for the background. Otherwise, this would just I don't know what this would look like if I just had more crazy shit going on in the background. Um, Maybe this is a bad example, but I don't know what else I could. Well, all of these are pretty much post-apocalyptic apocalyptic stuff with sci-fi mixed into it.
Right.
And I guess I, that's usually what you see from me, I guess, from my personal projects, my personal art. But no matter what I work on, I try to have that mentality of what, the lighting can't be too crazy. You have to have some consistency. You have to make it feel real. It's just it has to feel real in some way. And you know, looking at photos and looking at real life is the best reference for that. Just take real life and extend it. Don't take something that is just so out there and try to extend that even further. It's just going to end up being weird. Um, with these particular pieces, they're part of a larger story, you know, a narrative, and so they do have a thought. There's a thought behind them. And there's an explanation why things are looking the way they do. Um, and so I rarely do personal art these days. So um, it's actually I don't really know what my mindset would be these days to make a personal painting because I haven't done one in
I can tell you what
years.
it will be. Make it epic.
Oh, there you go. That's the mindset. Epic. Just one word.
Yeah,
Epic, dude.
it works for everything. Let's
Yeah.
go through maybe 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Cool.
Show. Next one says, how do you keep your design energy for so long in one project? Do you get worn up after a time? Like, do you get tired?
Oh yeah.
I think he's talking about how each one of them shows so much energy. Like, how I guess like how long do you spend on your images and how much energy do you put towards it?
Um. Um. Well, depends. I mean, it depends on what I'm working on. Um. I would say that you know when you're working on a film, you usually get like a 3-hour window some days to do well, or pretty much most of the time. At least that's my experience when you're working on site. Like, well, we need this painting before lunch. So you don't really have time to have a certain mindset or have a certain philosophy other than, you know, let's just make this good, whatever they want in a really short amount of time. And for some reason, uh, every new assignment is its own little like I usually I don't know how you work, Michelle, but for me, I don't get tired of like, oh, here we go. Here's another painting. Fuck me, you know. It's more like how am I feeling that day? Like if one day can be good, one day can be bad, but it's never I never get bored with doing, you know, oh, this is just another painting because every painting is different. Every new assignment or brief is has something unique about it. Even if it's very, very similar to what you've done in the past, you can there's always an opportunity to add something unique to it, and you have to focus on that. I think um, if you stop focusing on that, then I think that's when you get discouraged, and that's when you get fed up and jaded, and you're like, oh, I'm just going through the motions. Um, Sometimes that happens, but you know, I personally try to focus on whatever is unique about this particular painting that I'm doing, concept. Um, so yeah.
Cool. Right, one
Right.
more.
Yeah, one more.
Yeah, let's do this.
This one says, what would a concept artist fill his sketchbook with? What would an illustrator fill his sketchbook with? Going back, I'm gonna skip this one since we already kind of talked about it. Um, unless you wanna bring that up.
Now you decide.
Yeah, this
You're
one
the
says.
commons master.
We'll stick with for Andree. This one says, Andree, do you have some PSD on hand here and just where we could just flip through layers and make and show a quick breakdown of your workflow that they could see basically, or can you just go over your layers and stuff and process?
Sure. You know, I'm the worst when it comes to layers.
You just flatten
I
periodically.
I just flatten the shit out of. I mean, like this one, for instance. This is this is the layers that I have left where I've saved on this one. There you go. Some glow there right in the corner. Um, and then there's the plate. So this is usually how my paintings look. I do not respect the whole layers. I know I should, but in order to be really quick and to not overthink what you're doing. I tend to merge my paintings quite a lot, um, just to keep that momentum. And let's see if there's something. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find something right now. I'm just gonna be. On. Oh, dead air.
Dead air. I can start singing.
Please do.
No,
Beautiful.
it's fine. We can listen to dead air. A little bit of moments of silence.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to find anything now because I'm like.
No, don't stress about it too much. It's fine.
Yeah. Sorry. Because and everything. I know I have some paintings with all the layers left, but they're not good enough that I want to show them.
Hey, how about that? I'm gonna put you in a very uncomfortable situation right now, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna try to coerce you to teach for learn squared. How about that?
Oh.
Ah.
You're gonna put me on the spot
Yeah.
live. Live on the air.
Yeah, right on the air, just like an asshole.
Yeah.
But anyways,
You know what? I've never done. Well, I did some. I recorded some stuff back in the day, like from some speed paintings, like when I just started out as a concept artist. But that I think that's the closest I've gotten to do a tutorial. I'm the
right.
worst at explaining my process. I'm the worst teacher
You'll be
you'll
like,
ever have.
you
Oh, here
paint.
you go.
Here's the brush, and boom,
Yeah.
done.
There you go. This is yeah, exactly. This is a PSD that I've got most of the layers saved. So here you go. This is a really quick breakdown of. There's the sketch.
Nice. Nice.
So here you go.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward process, dude. Just
It really is.
keep layering
There's
on.
nothing exciting about it, but at least you can see now how it looks.
Cool. Sick.
So there you go.
That's
Very
great.
exciting, but
Nice. Looks very cool. All right, dudes. Think that's enough questions for today. I don't want to hold you up for too long, Andre. What time do you have there? Like it's the evening, right? It's getting really late.
yeah, it's 1:30.
Oh shit, yeah. I don't want to hold you up. Go to sleep, dude.
Oh, it's fine. I'm usually up to like 3 or 4 in the morning. So.
But anyways, thanks for joining us and making this happen, because I know you haven't been. I don't think you've done any live stream or podcast before, right? Or not that many.
No, you just took my podcast.
Shit, we're the first.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you're my first.
But anyways, yeah, it was awesome. We had some really cool conversation going on here. I hope it was informative for people who decided to join us live, and whoever is watching this afterwards. Yeah, fucking awesome. Great that you stayed till the end, and that's great.
Thanks, guys.
And
Sorry about me droning on.
Awesome.
We're gonna keep doing those. Next one is going to happen next week, and yeah, I'll be saying that a lot these days. If you fucking like what you see, then click that, hit that subscribe button. If you don't, then don't click it. Just whatever, do whatever the fuck you want. It's up to you.
Be an asshole and not click it, you motherfucker.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah, if you want to support it, just support it. We're gonna do it anyway. So, anyways, thanks guys for coming, and thanks Andree for being with us here, and I'll guess till the next one.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Cheers.
Peace out.